Yeah, that's awesome. So were the two Boston auditions you took, were they the only auditions you've ever taken professionally or?
No, I took in between those two. I took Cincinnati and New York.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and that's kind of the next thing I want to talk about. So getting into the nuts and bolts of auditioning and just that whole process. For you personally, how do you get yourself in the zone psychologically in order to get ready to take an audition?
Oh, biggest tip that I have for everyone is you have to play for people quite often in the couple weeks leading up to the audition because half of what you do on stage is past the practice room
Mm,
stage of your development. Uh, you need to learn the like mental psychological part, which is putting yourself in a position where you just play through, and then playing for people, you can introduce some nerves to your system. It helps you to figure out how your body deals with it. And when you put your body in a situation that isn't quite 100% stable, you figure out the parts in the music that kind of break down a little bit because of not being at 100% ability. And so you can kind of see what you need to work on even further. And you can see how it happened in your when you were nervous, and then what you can do to combat that for future. So if there's like a
mm,
really awkward shift and you completely miss it, or you just tense up during like a moment where you're very nervous, then you can really work on that shift to be as calm as possible and feel it, and just really feel it, and be steady with it. So playing for people and getting nervous teaches you a lot about how you play.
mm, yeah. Well, and during the 2 years of just taking those auditions, how often would you say that you were playing for people?
I played for people a lot, like maybe every other day for
Yeah,
2 weeks or so. I
yeah.
would, and you have a select few people that you play for one at a time, and then you have one or two times where you gather some people that you want to play for, and then you also play in studio class.
Mm,
So you get the nerves from all your studio mates, and somebody
mm.
chooses the excerpts, so it can be a mock audition basically.
Right, right. Well, and talking a little bit more about like the audition day itself, do you have like do you have breathing exercises or do you have any meditative uh practices that you try to incorporate before going on stage to take the audition or
I don't have any of those kinds of exercises. But what I do to feel the solidity in being on there, one thing you should always realize is that after you start, you're usually good from then on, but
Mm,
it's starting is the most nerve-wracking. So
yeah.
one thing that I incorporated in my pre-stage, like getting on stage, is for maybe 15, 20 minutes, just starting what you're going to start with. The first 30 seconds to a minute, put down the instrument for 2 minutes, then start it again. 30 seconds
Mm,
to a minute, put down the instrument for 2 minutes, and then do it again. So you
mm,
do that several times, and you build up, first of all, like a mental stability, but also
yeah.
a physical, like what it feels like after you haven't been playing for 2 minutes, because there's going to be 30 seconds to a minute where you don't play between backstage and walking onto the stage.
Yeah.
And you need to prepare for that, because we all just feel comfortable in the moment while we're practicing. But then once we put down the instrument for a certain amount of time, like 30 seconds to a minute, our hands aren't quite as warm as what they were. So it's
Mm.
that practice, putting down and picking back up.
That's actually really informative that you brought that up because I think for performances, especially, the most nervous one would most likely get is when they're backstage before going on stage, right? And that's when
Hmm.
their hands tend to be cold or their heart rate is at its highest. But then like you were saying, when you actually get on stage and you perform, maybe the first minute or so is a little bit shaky, but then you ease into it. And I
Mhm.
think practicing getting to that point from the very beginning, that's actually really interesting and crucial that you brought up. So yeah.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely within the couple hours before the audition is the most nervous you can say. Like your stomach, I remember feeling before my New York audition, like my stomach kind of felt sick like 2 hours before going on stage. And that's like the worst time. It's those couple hours leading up to the audition.
Yeah. So was it just a lot of, because I would assume that you would start with the Schumann in any audition. So was it just like trying to start Schumann when you were cold, just practicing that feeling a lot? Or
Oh
yeah,
yeah, definitely. Yeah, you start it, put it back down, and then start it again. Yeah.
yeah.